this? So I have an idea. I write poetry. As a poet, like I do want to infuse my poetry with local, history. With also, I have a niece now, and I have a bunch of kids in my family, and it's made me also think, okay, how do I use that also in terms of influencing another generation? I know that, legacy is something that's also very important to me. That's why I haven't been cursing. I don't think I've cursed on this YouTube. If I have, I apologize, but I'm trying not to. I'm trying to keep the YouTube max, PG-13. I don't really want to go too deep with all that stuff. Not to say I wouldn't do it on another place where you can verify the age of somebody, but so I think one of the reasons that I have been trying to keep this clean is because I want to introduce things into a broad market where everybody that I know and love can actually watch these videos, but also be a part of the journey. And so instead of doing a coloring book, I figured what I would do is a storybook. And I bought the storybook version of The Little Prince. It's one of my favorite stories. We had to read it in Spanish when I was in middle school. And then, but I bought the storybook version now. I would get up and go get it to put it on camera, but that would be a huge pain. So I'm not. But I mean, you can just go on Amazon. I'll put a link probably if I remember. And so another thing with the storybook is that my mom was obsessed with this storybook in Spanish that she used to read to us called Había una vez, and we lost it in the move from like the house that I spent like my adolescence in. We moved out of there 5 years ago, and so it got lost. And so she was always really devastated because that's what she wanted to read to little niece. And then so I found it on Amazon, and I ordered it for her, and she was like literally died. And it was really amazing. And it really made me remember like the power of a storybook. And like, I remember the Bernstein Bears books. I remember Where the Wild Things Are. I remember the one with like the creepy baby next to the toilet, like Stuart Little. Like, I remember we had like literally a treasure chest of storybooks. We also had like Teddy Ruxpin and Big Bird that used to like say stories. So that's always been something that's been a part of my life. So I wanted to do a storybook. And so I came up with the name In a Land Called Miami, because I wanted to be very once upon a time, very leather bound, not like super thick and long, but so In a Land Called Miami, and it's 7 stories. And so each story centers around a lesson, like a life lesson, very general, much more kind of like a fable, not very, more like allegorical and all that stuff. And then, so In a Land Called Miami, 7 lessons about life, and then including characters that are part of the history of Miami. So obviously, I'll tie in Julia Tuttle, I'll tie in, different people that came, like the Cubans, the people that founded Overtown, like kind of get kind of like a little bit of the richness of the history, but in a way that a child could understand it in poetry, and then have an illustrator come in. And so it's like I'll have like maybe a couple stanzas per page, and then have an illustrator come in and do beautiful illustrations to just make it beautiful and perfect. And then the goal for the storybook is not only would that be kind of like the model for the marketplace for the newmiamian.org, and I'll give 50% of the proceeds to, I have to figure out exactly which agency, but an agency like, I don't know if it's the Department of Children and Families or Charlie, or, agencies that work with foster kids and kids in the system. And then I would also, with that product, want to get a bunch printed for free that I can give to as many kids that are going through stuff or that are in the system in South Florida. So it's basically like their Había una vez to a certain extent, where it's like, they're going to have a storybook that's super personal and meaningful, and hopefully, I mean, that would be the goal. That would be very idealistic, but I mean, why not? And again, make it local, make it just something that I would be really proud of over time. I